I'm, shall we say, not talented in the world of drawing exactly, but it's always been something I wish I could be good at. And especially pixel art. I'm actually wanting to design my own game, probably using pixel art. That's kind of up in the air at the moment. But where would
Cool.
you advise me and other people to start with pixel art? And is there well, no, that was the whole question. I had other stuff written down, but that's completely wrong. So where would you advise somebody to start now
Where to
that you're
start?
so experienced in it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that I would say first off is not to discount traditional illustration because a lot of the same principles apply to pixel art. Uh, Understanding things like proportion, shape language, color theory, uh, knowing how to draw a strong silhouette of a character, like which is integral to concept art and I guess just composition in general. So a lot of the traditional art principles I completely carry over to pixel art because pixel art is an artistic medium as opposed to um, an isolated art form. There's a ton of overlap in all of the foundational principles, but so that is not to discount somebody who specifically wants to get into pixel art. And there are some good resources. One of the best ones that I always recommend when people ask this, and it was my bread and butter when I was starting out, is spritersresource.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So Spiders Resource is basically a library, like a repository of ripped sprite art from every game that used pixel art imaginable. And what I did at the time is, basically collect a list of like all of my favorite games, pixel art games from yesteryear, and go through them, downloading as many reference images as I could from Spriter's Resource and just kind of analyze and study like what makes them look as good as they do. Why do the characters stand out in a way that like really stuck to me, and how can I, what can I take away from my observations of those of that art style and apply to my own work. So just a lot of learning. It's just it's a well of information.
Mm-hmm.
So I would always recommend starting there.
Was there any particular character, like, if you could pick your ultimate inspiration for all of your work, is there any particular character you can think of?
So I would say my style has changed a lot over the years. I've sort of always fallen into this trap in my career of like being more of a chameleon than feeling like I had my own style,
Mm-hmm.
and also being in like constantly inspired. And so like my being distracted very easily with like what I was really interested in terms of my art inspirations at any given time. When I started pixel art, the biggest inspiration to me was a game called Nuclear Throne.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an indie game. It's a roguelike by the company Vlambeer, and the artist Paul Veer was basically the first time like seeing his art was when I thought this is something I want to try. Not necessarily that I could do it. I was just like it looks incredibly charming and incredibly polished, but also like in an attainable way. And I tried, and I like certainly didn't meet the bar that he set. The game is an incredible. It's a visual masterpiece, but that was like what really set me on this journey, I think, in like a real way. After that, I was looking at games like Super Time Force, which has this like really interesting style where there are no outlines to any of the sprites.
Yeah.
And it's that's something that Hyperlight Drifter also used a lot of in its visual style. So yeah, I jumped around a lot, and then eventually it was Shovel Knight, and I learned to like that's when I started adding outlines to my work and started being more inspired by retro aesthetic pixel art instead of like more modern aesthetic pixel art. So
Awesome.
yeah, it just jumped all around. A lot of inspirations, but those are a few of them.
How does it feel now, knowing now that there is people out there inspired by you as well? I mean, heck, quite a few of the Reddit comments were saying like, "Oh, they love your work and everything." So, how does that feel to you?
Kind of surreal. Yeah, it's very flattering. As an artist, we tend to kind of work in a bubble and like we'll be, we'll isolate from the world and work on these intricate little pieces, and then shoot them off to social media or whatever, and hope that people say nice things. But yeah, I mean, hearing stuff like that is always amazing and inspires me to want to keep making more art. But
Awesome.
yeah, it's still not something I'm used to.
I imagine it's not something anyone gets used to, but
yeah.